doing a little bit of quality on the wheels. Show you, I actually added this bracket right there so it comes back out straight. I put on, I have them smaller wheels too. Them smaller wheels are nice for like rocky things, but these big ones I like for just going down the ramp and a lot of places. Plus it got air in the tire. There's air. It picks up the back end a little bit. But these ones I could get the bigger bolt, the bigger the 5/8, and so it slides through nice. I just double nutted it. Quality, do a little quality control. So, and the steering too. I'm doing a video on a little nicer quality on the steer arm and the wheels. But I showed you the wheels, but the steer arm did this in metal, which is a little better. I like it. This was my final product here. So I mean, the other one is had a video on. I had the plastic, which is nice if you just want to see if it's going to work for you, because then it's pretty simple. But you put that PVC screws in there. Thing is, that could actually break off in there, and then that's stuck right in that. Where on this one, because it's metal, if it breaks, you can just pull it off and get it off there. I carry a spare in the bag here, all broken down into pieces, so I can just reattach the new one. The new one doesn't have that on-off switch. My backup doesn't have an on-off switch. I don't need it. You don't really need an on-off switch, but I like it, especially for jigging. And that's one of them right there. But all that is it's a coupler. Buy that in the electrical over at Home Depot. And this is just a nipple like that. I actually buy that in electrical because it's a little smoother too. What I do is I drill into the threads and then I weld it so this is all solid. And then I'll have to put, and I actually got some new material here that I'm going to use on this next one. I think this will be a little nicer. It's a little better grade, but, and then so that's that part of it. And of course this is just the bicycle deal. And so I'll do the switch now. So that's a 1/2 inch coupler, 1/2 inch nipple, and then you have to wrap it in some type of material. It's not like PVC, where PVC you don't need to, but so on that. And then I have the on-off switch, which I just have that, which is a 75 amp 6 to 28 volt one, and this one's a broken one, but this is a plug. I actually just cut it and I had to drill a hole. I'll show you that when I'm building it. And then you have to get your rotary tool. You just rotor them out, and that will slide in. Locks in there. And you put the screw on. So that's how that switch will go in there. And then that's how it'll look like inside. And then you have to, this is a 1.25 PVC. That works nice for the housing on your switch. And you have to buy 2 reducers to a half, because that's what you're running your control arm in, is half. You don't put a switch in there, all you need is anything, you know, just for a 1/2 inch. But I'm showing you the switch. So my wires, this is actually the switch right here. I just I use that for that one's for the battery end, so you need 2 for that, and then 2 of the smaller ones. For 8-gauge wire. And that'll create your wiring. And then, like I say, so you have that. So you'll be able to turn it off. Them actually slide in there. You have to kind of turn that one, and then it will go through. You can get it through. You kind of gotta manipulate it a little bit, and then that will slide. And this one, it's a lot. I like it. It's a lot nicer. I'm not going to screw it all the way on there. And so these wires, I just got these 2 screws. I actually put 2 screws, so this cap's not in. This plug is not in there. I did paint it. I reckon I'm not painting. Just leave it white. Last one I painted. Then I put 2 screws, so you're looking at the screws there. Here's the screws that I use. Just drill a little hole, then you get your cap screwed in there, and you can see it in there. But you can actually take these 2 screws out and pull that entire wire out if you use this metal, the metal coupler, metal, not coupler, the metal nipple here. Then you pull that out and change it out if you want. And so that's how I created the switch. And so when you're hooking it up, you want to, when I build one, I go a little short on the one, because they're actually, you're just hooking it on your battery, which is on the negative side. Then this hooks to the -1 to going to your motor. Positive is just hooked up all the time. You don't really want to hook up your positive, because all you want to do is create a switch to kill on the negative. And there's no volts or amps. If you're hooking it up to your negative, there's no volts or amps. So it's just a switch running, an on-off switch, just killing it on the ground side. You're not even... I did have this one. I've run this one as a switch before, and I actually like that. And all I did was just a regular AC volt. And this is a through breaker. It actually just runs through. Doesn't have the So your 110 would come through the one side, then come through. This would have 110 too, but I actually just circled it back. So, and that worked good for a switch. People might say an AC when it's a DC volt, but there's no volts running through on a ground or negative side, so you're just using any kind of a switch. I sometimes thought, you know, just doing a light switch, I don't know if that has enough. Some of the light switch I would think, but I never did. Now, I've tried burning up this motor with the switch on, off, and then I've burned up a battery before, because batteries are not designed to be ran dead. Every time you run a battery dead, they're not really designed to go dead. So anyway, but it does says 75 amps, but I don't know. You can get them at Pep Boys. Amazon has them. That one I broke apart. I was just interested to see what was inside. And of course I got the smaller. You can see what size. The smaller one for the, and that's the 8, got the 8 wire, and then the smaller one. These ones actually work good. And then this is the same brand, but this has got the 3/8 stud side. So this is number 10, the 3/8, if you want to build your own. Okay, so I actually took the switch out so you can see the switch itself, and I just took those 2 screws out, like I say, and then that can pull out. You see the screw holes and the 2 screws there. So, and then you can take that off if you want to change the switch out, if you had to for some reason. And this, so that those actually fit right on there, but you do have to bend that before you and put it on, because it needs to come, so it needs to turn. But you can still get your screw in there after you bend them, but when I build it I'll show you how that works. And I got the steer arm. Now the steer arm is maybe 2.5 pounds, I'd like to say. I had it on the weight. It seemed like it was around 2 pounds, which is 2 pounds is not very much. And of course these are this is a 38 pound thrust, so you got 38 pounds of thrust on this shaft. So I mean 2.5 pounds. I'm going the other way. I don't think it's going to hurt. Now this boat probably doesn't have a 38 pound thrust because it's so light, and there's no drag. I leave the wheels on drag. Now, you know, you might think I built the steer arm and then put the wheels on, but it actually was the other way around. For the steer arm, I decided I'll try to put those wheels on, trying to create drag, because I was steering it somehow, some way, you know, without the steer arm, but still. So actually I put the wheels on and then was steering it, and then I created the steer arm. So it was the other way around, but these things are like glass, like walking across glass. It's just, they're not the best at steering. So, and of course, you know, I was thinking of just hooking on a bucket right here. Like if I put 2 little buckets on each side with just a little bit of, not enough to really get involved in the motor or anything, just enough to that I'm dragging the back end. I wonder if that would, I might try that. I want to try that without the wheels. The bad thing about the wheels is putting them on and off is pain. So you roll it into the water and then you got to go around the back of the boat and try to get the wheels. It's a pain in the butt. Anyway, so this I did, this arm, I have it on the other video as 45, so you got a 45, 45, 45. Now that works great because you can put it in there and you can put all your 45s in and see where you want it and then mark them and then glue them. And then you can create the steer arm. Now I did try to build just a, I did come around with a, just did a round one because you can use conduit bender, 3/4 conduit bender, but I didn't like it. I mean, these when I built this one, I didn't like just coming straight around. These 45 seems to be a pretty good design. Now I built this so I could build me a slick unit, so I put it in there. When I go to build it, I'll show you. Put it in there and I heat it, then I can bend my 45 and I lock it down. I have it a little longer and then I cut them back down to size, and then that's how I make that nicer, slicker on them, which I have to do because I created the steer arm. So, but you know, the 45s work just fine. Okay. I think that's it. I'm not going to build the arm. I'm going to build the arm a different day. So, until then. Okay, there's the 1.25" PVC plug. We'll make the switch now. That's what it looks like. Won't cut that down. This is actually my fly tying station right here. I'm going to use it to make. So, just want a 3/4 inch. So that's what it'll look like. So just get you a good 3/4 inch there. Hacksaw. And you need a small, just a small drill bit, smaller than an 1/8. It's a small one. I like to create a starter hole when I drill that, and you place it inside, get it flush. I'm just going to mark it. So that will be the side. And then want to come down 1/4 inch at least in the center. So find the center. Usually got some markings there. create a starter hole for your screw. Come down center. Like so. Pop your deal back into there. Might just and you need a 15-30 seconds drill bit. Usually I pop that out, but it seems like it's a little stuck in there for some reason. But just want to do it right inside. That'll create your hole for that. Okay. I think I had a little burr on there. I'm going to clean that off. You got your rotary tool. I like a little burr. It was making it so it wouldn't slide in. I'll take them off real quick. Okay. So then the switch, you got your screw hole on each side. You want to get kind of centered, just so when you put the screws in, they got this area here to miss your switch. So I like just mark it where I'm going to rotary the switch out. And then I just take the rotary tool and I just knock it out. Switch will lock in just like that, and put that on. That's your switch. Line up your holes, and then you can put the screws in. That's it on the switch. Now, was going to show you this, as if you buy it at Home Depot, but I usually drill a hole and then weld it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to tell you that this would probably work just as good, and then you don't even have to wrap it. That, you know, you might have to Dremel those off, make it a little smoother. Now, so when you put it in, this is on the, this part's on the side, but if you line that straight up, like your motor with your steer arm on your motor, that's almost comes out perfect. So you're just like that on this side, and then that kicks out and away. So line that up with your motor, slide that in, and then you can build the rest of the parts. So we're doing the wires for the kill switch, and I cut them at 48 inches, 4 feet. Of course, I do one longer than the other, so you won't have a conflict when you're hooking it up to the negative side on your battery. And when you're sliding them through, one needs to be a little less, so you know, 3 or 4 inches. So 48 for the one, and a little 3 or 4 inches shorter on the other one. And I use actually marine wire, because it's a lot more flexible. 8 gauge, because that's what the motor is 8 gauge. When you're doing it, you got to have one small on one end and one small loop, one big loop on each end of that. I actually just have a punch thing here. So I got a small one, and on the other end I put the bigger one, the 3/8. This is the 3/8. That's the number 10 metric on the other. So I got the two. The small ends, you got to bend. So some way you got to bend that so you can get in there. Screw it. You got to put a bend on there, Just like that. Let your bend. Now you can hook them up to your switch. So now I did have to grind it a little bit, just because it was just because the loop kind of come up a little bit. So that's how you want it. And then you can slide it through your T. Line up your marks. Get your holes right. Got two screw holes, but we'll move on. So there's your wires. Now if you got the metal one, because I'll have to tighten that down, but metal one it will slide through. That will slide through. It'll slide through the one, then slide through the other. And then then you glue it. Now you can pull this in and out. I could take that all back out, but I'm just going to do it because it'll feed, but it's a little bit of work to get it. Want to get enough on there to make sure it stays in there. And then you can hook up the rest of the arm, which is actually pretty simple. So you just got everything else is pretty easy. That's it. Okay, so that's glued. I took it, I haven't put that in. I took it all apart just to show you. I pulled this switch out, so if you take this out, it's a lot easier. Then you got to feed the wires through. So I'll put the switch back together. Then you can put that nipple back in there. So if you ever had to get back in and take that switch out, you can. And then this side's a little long, a little loose. And of course I got to put my screws back in, but just showing you how easy it is. So that's how that switch is. And then the wires run through, so you have to build this part, and then build that part. And it sticks out. The wires are a little off. You know, come around and hook up to your battery. I'm going to show you this real quick, just how I do it. I actually build this deal here to make a nice arm, but you can just use 45s if you want. Gotta be outside if you're using this heat gun. So it's pretty flexible everywhere. It's a little Then I mark it. I cut mine right here. So after it dries, I can cut it right there, and then I can put that end on. Okay, so I got that arm built. I put it all together. So the switch part's all done. And I use this, put these cork plugs in on both ends, so you can see it in there. So there's a cork in there. Then there's one on this side before I put that, glued that threaded half to PVC connector, 1/2-inch PVC, and that's the steer arm. So now I got to build this part. That's all I got left, which is 18 inches. Got to cut a piece 18 inches. And then I got a half PVC to 1/2-inch thread to hook onto the coupler. So I need 2 of those. One here, one that hooks onto the bicycle extension bracket. The extend your bicycle, pedal bike. And then the wires will be able to slide through all of that. Now, I did the metal one, but you could do this PVC. Just get a 1/2-inch galvanized nipple. You can even get a little bigger one. You don't need one of these close ones. You can get a little longer one if you want. If you want a little longer coming out and then going to your PVC. And I actually just built this part, just bent it by hand, and it actually come out pretty smooth. I tried it before, but I couldn't get it. But this one actually worked just by hand. Maybe you could just put a 45 on this one end and kick it back on that way, because it seems like it's a little nicer if it kicks up a little and then comes across. Now when I did this, I actually just laid it flat, had these just like I did my other one, and I got it really hot, and then I just bent it with hand, and it turned out pretty smooth, pretty round. So I'll build that other part, and then I'll be done with this other arm here. Laying down, kind of got up, just kicked the seat to the side. I steer right here when I lay down. I actually just got a little, nothing, little lightweight deal there. When the fishing's done, I guess, head back, I guess. Let's put this thing at full speed here. And that's the speed right there. Headed back to the shore. See how good this thing. Let's do maybe you can see behind me here. Do a turn around. Oh yeah, got some boat. Got to get to the boat here. Woo! Looks like they're having fun over there. Oh yeah. Go this way. Oh yeah. Maybe we can do a figure eight. Let's see, how would you do it? Go like that. Circle around. Back around. Go. Now we're headed back. Oh yeah. Looks like there's a lot of people up there having fun. Put the oars up. I got the oars up. You get a lot better turning. I mean, you can really do some sharp turning here. And you can really turn. I actually leave the oars in when I'm trolling because I don't want to really turn that sharp. But you can do some all sorts of turning here. Coming into the shore. Maybe we'll do a little circle around this thing when we come in here. Cruising over to it. See that? No wake speed. Let's see. That's speed 5. There's no wake there. Goofing off time, I guess, huh? Here we come. Coming up to the no wake deal. We'll run right into it. Your turn. Whoa! To go around it. Whoa. tight little turn. Oh yeah. Goof off time, people fishing. Headed back to the shore. Looks like fun, huh?
Good.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good.
That's good. See if we can do a figure eight here. How do we do it? Maybe. Kind of complicated, I guess, huh? Figure eight. I don't know what it'd be like with the wheels though. I don't know. I haven't done it. I don't care. How fast can you go with these motors anyways? People up on the shore there. Alright. Coming into the kayak here too. Here's the fire. Yeah. Not enough. See? Hopefully. Breathing in. Landing. Kill the motor. Oh, the wheels are dragging.